Welcome back to the channel, boys. Fabloonski's coming at your neck with another Destiny 2 video. And honestly, in this video, I just want to talk about where's all the hype for Beyond Light. I know there's obviously some people that are hyped for it, like myself and my clanmates included. But I know that there is a lot, and I mean a lot of people who aren't really that excited or think that it's gonna flop or think that it's just gonna be bare bones. And honestly, I just want to talk about that and say that it's not bare bones. There is a lot of stuff coming to Beyond Light with the DLC, and there's a lot of stuff being updated. Now, whether or not you think that the stuff that's being updated should be only with Beyond Light, or if you think that the stuff coming to Beyond Light should be on the update, that is solely on you. But the fact is, we are getting new content, we're getting updates to the systems, we're getting script rework. So I just want to talk about that for a little bit. So obviously, the stuff that's pretty obvious that's coming in Beyond Light is like the new subclasses, the stasis subclasses. We're getting an overhaul to how these subclasses work. They're going to be more customizable. We're getting obviously new armor, new weapons, tons of new exotics. They already had the trailer for that, and that's just the exotics I believe that are going to be in the world loot pool. I don't think that they're going to be tied to like the stasis subclass, or I don't even think that's all the exotics we're getting, because I don't think that Bungie would put all their cards on the table right before the DLC comes out, because then I don't know, I feel like then we're gonna see everything and then we're gonna know what to expect. And I also think that there's going to be some exotics that really synergize well with the stasis subclasses, so we got to keep that in mind as well. And there's probably some raid exotics. There's probably, some other exotics like Hawk Moon is coming back. That's another one. And it's probably once Vaults of Glass is coming back. I know that's another point I wanted to bring up, but we'll talk about it now. Vaults of Glass will be coming back some point during this next year. So when that comes back, let's say, I don't know, Vexmith the class. You guys can't forget about Vexmith the class. For people who haven't played D1, Vexmith the class is an automatic fusion rifle. It goes in your primary slot and it is amazing. Obviously, we're also getting Europa as a new location, and if you have not seen the map, it is absolutely massive. There's probably even more caves, systems, and stuff like that, and parts underground that we cannot see in the map on the Bungie website, but it is humongous. It looks so big. And there's also rumors to be a second planet. Now obviously that's just speculation, that's rumors that's not been confirmed, but if you look at some of the pieces that these rumors have, it kind of makes sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled another Forsaken-esque thing where we played on the Tangled Shores for most of the campaign, and after we got to a certain part, we unlocked the Dreaming City. And then after the world's first raid team completed their last wish raid, the curse broke out and so on. You guys already know. But what if, I have a feeling that there's going to be something similar to it. Obviously not exactly the same, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And speaking of raids, like I said a little bit ago, we're also getting Vault of Glass sometime during this next year. But when Beyond Light drops, I believe it's 10 or 11 days after it drops, we're getting the Dead Stone Crypt, or Deep Stone Crypt I believe it's called, which is the raid for Beyond Light. So we're getting a brand new raid, which is probably going to be so much different than any other raid, because we have these new subclasses, these new elements that focus around more CC and control and freezing the enemies rather than just pure damage. So I feel like the meta for this raid, or strats for this raid, are just going to be absolutely wild. And same thing goes for all the other raids like Last Wish, Garden Salvation, and Vault of Glass when it comes back. I feel like what we're used to isn't going to be maybe what's best. I mean, obviously it could still be what's best, but we have no idea. Like I said, it's just going to be completely different. It's going to really shake up the game. Now I also believe that the power level grind right now is going to be completely different once Beyond Light drops, because I'm just looking at some of the trends with Bungie. When we had Forsaken released, the power level grind was changed for that, and because of that change, the raid dropped, was I think another also like 10 days or 11 days after the DLC dropped, or after the Dreaming City was discovered, or something like that. So we had time to grind our power levels. So I think that since they're following that same trend, the Deep Stone Crypt, or whatever it's called, is dropping like 10 or 11 days after Beyond Light drops, I think there's going to be a major shift in how we gain our power levels, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for. The current player base, and even myself included a little bit, we are just kind of bored of the current power level grind. I mean, we've been doing the same power level grind for like 2 years, I believe. So it would just make sense for them to completely switch up how we gain our power levels, and because of that, now they have to extend the raid release date. So if you just look at some of these trends, I believe it's following some of the same patterns as Forsaken, and Forsaken is regarded as many as the best DLC that Destiny has ever had. It's up there with Taken King, or I think Rise of Iron was pretty good as well. So you guys got to be or people who are doubting it. You just gotta look at some of these trends. I forgot to mention that we are also getting an update to the current enemy factions in the game. If you guys look at these Beyond Light trailers, you guys will notice that there is some new Vex enemies. There's believed to be some kind of new fallen enemies in the game, like the Vex enemy that just dives at you and blows up. Kind of looks like a harpy, but it expands. And if any of you guys know the Gorgons from D1, it kind of looks like that. And then they dive bomb at you and I guess blow up and do some damage. So we're getting new enemies already in the existing enemy factions in the game. Plus I believe that we're gonna get a brand new enemy type, a new race. There's been talks about the Veil, which is like the darkness based enemy, I guess you can say. There's been talks about that in the past. So, and if there's anything like Forsaken, then I believe that we're gonna get a brand new enemy. That's just me though, that's me speculating, and like I said, I just wouldn't be surprised if that happened, because Bungie always does their best work when their backs are up against the wall, and right now their backs are up against the wall. Their backs were also up against the wall when it came to Taken King. Taken King is regarded as one of the best DLCs also, and their backs were up against the wall in Forsaken. Right before Forsaken came out, Bungie, or Destiny I guess you can say, was not in a good place at all. It was on the verge of actually dying. So, and Forsaken is just top tier DLC. Now, one of the back end changes that I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on and kind of forgot about honestly is the fact that Bungie is rewriting the script for this game, and they're also highly optimizing it for both PC and console. Now, when I say rewriting the script, they talked about making the, I guess you can say, the AI a bit smarter, making it faster. Like, you know how right now whenever there is say for instance when you have to like guard a door or something like that while it opens, and then there's enemies that spawn, well, you know how after you kill those enemies there's kind of like a wait time before the next enemy spawn. I believe that with the script that is going to cease. You know, there's not going to be that wait time anymore. It's just going to be you're killing the enemies, and after you get to like a certain point of enemies remaining, I guess the next wave of enemies will spawn in. So that way there's never like a stop in combat, which is a really nice change, because there's always like a bit of downtime and it feels a bit awkward, and having that go away, it's just going to add to the flow of this game and make it feel more fluid. Also making my game more optimized, meaning faster load times, faster, you know, inventory screens for consoles and stuff like that. It's just going to feel like a much newer game, much better game, and I think that's something that a lot of people are just kind of throwing under the bus, but honestly that is major. Although that is not part of the Beyond Light DLC that is coming with that update, so this game is going to be vastly different than it is now. Some of the other changes that are coming with the Beyond Light update is that in Season 12, the Eververse store will no longer sell ships, ghost shells, sparrows, etc. that are associated with or themed after aspirational activities, meaning that now we can actually go into these activities and get them, which is great, because just having to go and spend money or bright dust on this item doesn't really, it kind of takes away some of the loot incentive. You know, you want to be able to hop into like say the raid for instance, and you want to get like a nice armor ornament that is themed with the raid. As it is right now, you would just buy it from the Eververse store, so it kind of adds some uniqueness and just some more loot. You know, what's wrong with more loot? In Beyond Light, we're also getting new pursuit weapons, which are kind of like ritual weapons. You know, you have to grind a specific playlist to get them, but now they're making it so you can actually choose which playlist you want to do. So if you're a PvP player and there is a new pursuit, let's say grenade launcher or something like that, well, you can just play PvP, or if you're PvE, you can just grind strikes to get that grenade launcher. So you don't have to necessarily play a specific activity to get it. Like for instance, Mountaintop was through PvP. Now, let's say if Mountaintop was a pursuit weapon in Beyond Light, then you can just play Strikes or Gambit or PvP Crucible to unlock it. You don't necessarily have to play whatever activity, so that frees it up a lot, makes that weapon way more accessible, and these weapons are generally pretty good. One of the changes coming in Beyond Light that I honestly forgot about as well is that the core activity for each season will stay after that season ends. So for example, if it was in the game right now, like that specific update was in the game right now, if I wanted to go back and play the Sundial from Season of Dawn, I could do that. You know, you can go back and play these old activities. Now obviously there wouldn't be like the story aspect or, you know, whatever was tied to it, you know, in that activity, but you can still play it, which is great, because now there's more things to do, more, you know, activities to play with your friends, and there's probably going to be some kind of loot. I don't know what it would be, if there is any, but there has to be something tied to it. Maybe whatever type of seasonal loot we're getting, you can get it through playing that activity. I don't know, but we'll have to see. But anyway, that is still great to have more activities to do. There's also going to be a balance patch for some of the weapons in the game, like for instance, Bungie is going to buff somehow 110 hand cannons. They're also looking at low zoom sniper rifles, although I think that might be a nerf. And then some of the auto rifles are looking at changing as well. So there's going to be a massive balance patch. Of course, that's just an update, but switching up the sandbox is always good for Destiny. It makes things feel fresh. It makes people try out new weapons, and for a little bit the meta isn't defined yet, so you can use whatever you want and have fun. Bungie is also shifting away from weekly FOMO. You know, they're not going to have the season rank heavily rely on weekly bounties. Now there's just going to be some kind of, I guess, objectives each week that will give you a lot of season ranks. So that's always great, you know, not having to stress about playing the game each week so you can upgrade your seasonal pass is always a good thing. You know, you can hop in when you can, because there's, you know, we have lives, people work, I work full time, and there's plenty of other people that play this game in what little time they have, so they don't want to feel like they have to necessarily grind it every living second of their free time, you know, which is always a great change. Another massive change that is coming to Beyond Light is they're overhauling the mod system. Currently right now, if you want to use, let's say, hand cannon loader, you have to have a void piece of armor. Well, in Beyond Light, you're not gonna have to do that anymore. You can use hand cannon loader on an arc piece of armor. You know, you don't have to have that specific affinity, which is massive, because now it's going to open up so many things. The only thing that is still going to be tied to an affinity is, I believe, charged with light mods, and I think enhanced impact induction or whatever. And speaking of enhanced mods, they're actually getting rid of, well, you can look at it as they're getting rid of enhanced, or they're getting rid of basic, just hand cannon loader or whatever. What they're doing is what they say is they're getting rid of enhanced hand cannon loader, but they're bringing up hand cannon loader to the level of enhanced hand cannon loader. So it's just going to be one hand cannon loader, but it's going to have the same effect as if you were using enhanced hand cannon loader. So it's not going to be two hand cannon loader and then enhanced hand cannon loader, which is going to completely free up the mod space or mod UI, because right now it's so cluttered with so many auto rifle loader, enhanced auto rifle loader, and impact induction, enhanced impact induction. Now it's just going to be one mod, but it's going to have the same effect as enhanced mods. We're also going to be able to slap charged with light mods on exotic pieces of armor. This is humongous. This is huge, because now if you want to run a highly optimized charged with light build, you have to decide whether you want to run an exotic or if you want to run another legendary. Now some people would like that decision, but I don't like not having to run an exotic, because I believe exotics are what make builds, in my opinion. So being able to slot a charge with light mod on exotics is going to make so many more build potential. I'm just so excited for that change, because I love making builds. You guys already know I love making builds, and just being able to have a charge with light mod on, let's say, armamentariums, man, it's just going to be great having that build diversity even more, because right now it's pretty big, but having that added to the game is going to expand just that much bigger. Another great change that's coming to the mod system is that now your armor will just have one mod slot for all charged with light mods, all war mine cell mods, nightmare helm mods, and so on. Now we won't have to have a season 8 or season 11 piece of armor to hold these mods, and then have a season 12 armor to hold these mods, or whatever it is. Now it's just one mod slot that can hold all of them, which is great, because having to manage all of those armor pieces and take up all your vault space is really overwhelming, and it's just kind of annoying, you know. Now you just have to have one set that can hold these specific mods. Alright, so there you boys have it. These are some of the changes that I could think of. I'm pretty sure there's some that I missed that are coming in Beyond Light. So if any of these piqued your interest, definitely check out Beyond Light, because this is going to be, I believe it's going to be the best DLC Destiny's ever had. You can mark my words, you can quote me on that. This is going to be the best DLC that Bungie has ever made, simply for the fact that we're getting a new subclass, new element, new exotics, Europa, we're fighting the darkness, finally. I believe there's going to be new enemies, and I can just go on. This DLC is just going to be massive, it's going to be huge for the game, and I believe that a lot of people are sleeping on it, and they're going to be pleasantly surprised once this DLC drops. I know that I'm hyped, so let's start seeing some hype in the community. I'm tired of all the criticism or all the just like lack of excitement. You know, I love it, and it's new content. Who doesn't like new content? So, you know, let's just start getting a bit hyped. Let's start being happy. Let's just be excited for this new DLC. But if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out a lot. And you can also check out my other videos. Links are in the description below. I have a lot of crazy builds, so go ahead and check that out. And you might as well follow my social media. I have a Twitter and an Instagram, both at @fat_balloonskis. But with all that being said, deuces.